What do you get when you combine Fallout 1 and 2's arid open world with an action RPG and mix in a healthy dose of body horror and bodily fluids? You get a little indie title called Death Trash, a third-person, Fallout-inspired, post-apocalyptic action RPG puke fest, developed by Crafting Legends and released into Steam Early Access on August 5th, 2021. It combines the stat-based RPG mechanics of Fallout with an action-oriented combat system, and spices up the usual open-world desert wasteland by setting the game on a living planet called Nexus, which is dotted with ancient ruins, semi-abandoned high-technology facilities, and tumorous growths of sentient flesh. In Death Trash, you take the role of an outcast who's been banished from their human habitat after contracting a mysterious illness, doomed to explore the world of Nexus and uncover the mysteries of the planet. And it's not long before leaving your home that you find one of these mysteries, a giant, monstrous mound of viscera called the Flesh Kraken. However, you quickly learn that not all of these creatures are hostile. The Flesh Kraken here just wants to find friends. You're its friend, right? You'll help bring it more friends, but not cyborgs. It just wants to eat them. But maybe this cyborg head will come up with some valuable information if it survives the Flesh Kraken's digestion. You'll never know unless you try. Or you can just kill them if you want. So yeah, right off the bat, there's a lot of weird body horror kind of stuff going on in this game. The full story isn't implemented yet, but there are big questions related to the nature of the Flesh Titans and a creature known as the Oracle who's being hunted and needs your help. But don't think that this is all gloom, doom, and transhumanist mumbo-jumbo. There's a lot of dark humor here too, like the Flesh Kraken's quest for friends, or a naked man you keep running into who likes to dance and thinks you're the weirdo for wearing clothes. There's also a side quest where you help a guy win a vomiting contest. Yum. If this all sounds disgusting, it is, but it's also really unique and fascinating. You start off by customizing the look of your character, choosing from a decent variety of features and fashions. Lots of cyberpunk style in Death Trash. You'll also get some points to start your build. There are 7 core stats. You have several skills to invest in too. These have been slimmed down since the earlier builds of the game. All of this offers a good variety when it comes to how you want to build your character. You gain experience in the usual ways, by completing quests and finding new areas. Leveling up gives you more points to invest in your core stats and skills. However, there are caps to how many points you can put into each category, and these caps raise as you level up. This forces you to diversify a bit with your build. You won't just be able to dump all your points into one stat or skill from the beginning. However, you can re-roll for a fee at certain merchants, giving you all your points back so they can be redistributed. So this might allow you to become more specialized as the game progresses and your character grows. As I mentioned, there's an open world to explore, and you traverse it in the same way as in Fallout 1 and 2, by pointing your character in a direction and just going. Sometimes you'll have landmarks on your map if you've spoken to certain characters and learned the locations of new areas, but you can also just wander off and see what you find. Be careful though, you can run into enemies and other encounters on the road that you might not be prepared for. Luckily you can save anywhere within areas, which can be a lifesaver if you end up finding yourself in a tough place that you're not prepared for. Combat can be a mix of melee and ranged. You've also got special abilities that you can find and equip, like an electric shock and others. Death Trash is really good at doling out multiple combat options that any build can try out right in the beginning of the game. For example, any build can use stealth. You pick up a stealth module early on that can be equipped and activated with the press of a button. Turning it on allows you to see enemy vision cones, which can help with planning routes and knowing enemy positions. So even if you don't want to be all sneaksy, it can help you with combat strategy. The stealth skill itself dictates how long you can remain within an enemy's line of sight without being spotted, which is indicated by this draining bar above your character's head. Being in stealth will also allow you to land backstabs on enemies for extra damage. I like stealth builds, so this is how I started most encounters, and it was pretty fun. But you know, you could just forego all of that and go in guns blazing or sword swinging, whatever your preference. You also have a dodge roll, and enemies telegraph their attacks pretty well, even ranged opponents. There's usually a laser sight on their weapons, so you can time dodging bullets or energy shots. All attacks can be dodged, but you have a stamina bar that stops you from spamming. The enemies you fight range from different varieties of flesh creatures, some that just lazily swipe at you, some that explode, and some that, Jesus! There are also different types of humans who carry melee weapons and firearms, as well as mutated wolves, globs of flesh, and spiders. Those goddamn, ever-vigilant spiders. Enemies hit hard too, and it's easy to wind up dead quickly. There are nano health items for healing, or you can eat meat and other organs you find lying around. These restore health, but also increase your infection level, indicated by the dots above your health bar. Using certain abilities also increases your infection. The threshold for this can be increased by adding points to your hardiness stat, but let your infection get too high and you'll get sick and start taking damage over time. Luckily, there's a cure for this. You just puke. Puking is good for more than just getting rid of infection, though. Certain machines run on puke, so don't just leave your valuable upchuck on the ground. Be sure to pocket that, you might need it later. Or you can always pocket someone else's. Speaking of pocketing stuff, there's also crafting, which is a huge help because money can be scarce, especially in the beginning of the game. So going out of your way to find recipes for nano healths, lockpicks, or ammo can really help your survivability early on. Be sure to hang on to the resources you find. You never know what they'll be useful in creating. But yeah, back to combat. I really like the design of it. While Death Trash is an RPG that relies on stats and equipment, it's also skill-based, and the devs have done a good job at balancing between the RPG and skill-based mechanics. If you're not so great at fighting or timing your dodges, you can come back to an area with better gear, skills, or stats, and you'll have an easier time surviving. On the flip side, players who are better at the combat can make it through more difficult areas with just their skill alone. This kind of design allows both types of players to progress through the game smoothly. On top of that, you can choose different difficulties from the start. Easy, standard, and hard. There are also extra challenges that can be selected before starting a new campaign, like pacifism, where you're not allowed to use weapons against other characters, immobility, which takes away your dodge move, veganism, where you're not allowed to consume animal products, permadeath, where dying deletes your save, and obstinatism, no experience and no leveling. There are a lot of NPCs to interact with and quests to take on, and you usually have branching dialogue options, some of which may be blocked off by certain skill investments. But still, there's enough choice here to create a real feeling of role-playing and player agency. And the world of Nexus is brilliantly designed. I was always left wondering what the next area was going to look like. Maybe it's a shanty town with a network of underground tunnels. Maybe it's a bar built inside the giant carcass of a long-dead beast. Or maybe it's something even wilder. I'd rather not spoil the surprises. The sound effects are nice and chunky. I especially like the impact of the gunshots, or the satisfying crack of blunt weapons as they bash enemies. The music, when it's there, blends into the background for the most part. A little too well, I guess, because as I write this, I need to go check my footage to remember what it sounded like. It's not bad, not at all. It just does its job, being very atmospheric and adding a mood to the game without being intrusive. I'd say there's about 8 to 10 hours of content in Death Trash, maybe a bit more depending on how much side stuff you want to uncover. But with different builds and play styles, you could easily sink dozens of hours if you're really into what's on offer here. You can even do local co-op, where a second player can join with a completely separate character with their own stats and inventory. However, quest progress is shared. You also have an option to use shared screen or split screen. There currently aren't any plans for online co-op due to development resources, but the store page says remote play will be possible, so that's neat. Death Trash is an easy recommend, and it's 20% off right now during the Steam summer sale. So if you're watching this video right when it drops, you've got another week to snag it at the discount price. There's a link in the description below. It's shaping up to be something really special, and I've already gone through 2 playthroughs with different character builds. So if its twisted world and action RPG gameplay has you interested, then consider jumping in now. I know early access can be a bit of a crapshoot on Steam, so I only highlight stuff that I think is worth people's time and money on this channel. So yeah, that's all I've got to say about Death Trash for now. If you like this video, please give it a like and let me know in the comments what you think of Death Trash. Also, subscribe to the channel. I've got more indie previews along with retro reviews and more stuff to come. You can also find links to my Twitter and Patreon in the description below if you're interested in that. And yeah, that's it. So Death Trash, check it out. Dungeon Chill, out.